The Caribbean has a long history of tsunamis that have affected its shores. During the last 500 years, almost 100 tsunamis have struck our shores. Since 1842, more than 3,500 people have lost their lives to this threat. Tsunamis are not as frequent as hurricanes, but given their rapid onset and the destructive power of the waves, the risk to life is much greater. On January 12, 2010, the magnitude 7.0 earthquake in Haiti caused the death of over 200,000 people. It also generated a tsunami that produced a run-up of 3 meters in Haiti. At least 7 people lost their lives to this tsunami. Other areas that have been impacted by tsunamis over the years include Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the Eastern Caribbean, Venezuela, Panama, and Nicaragua. Since the last major tsunami in 1946 that caused over 1,800 deaths in the Dominican Republic, there has been an explosive population growth across the Caribbean from residents and tourists along the coast. If we just take into consideration the number of people that can be on the beach on any given day, up to 50,000 residents and tourists are exposed daily to these killer waves. Despite the real threat in many places, it is still considered el peligro olvidado, the forgotten danger. To address the urgent need to get prepared, government officials, scientists, educators, emergency people, and first responders in the region have been working together to establish the Caribbean Tsunami Early Warning System.
For años, los tsunamis habían sido considerados.
For years, tsunamis have been considered the long-forgotten danger of our region, simply because of the fact that they don't occur that often. But we are now very aware of the great danger that they represent.
Además de las millones de personas.
In addition to the millions of people that live in the coastal zones which could be affected by tsunamis, the Caribbean receives millions of visitors every year who also enjoy its coastlines, which could be impacted by this event at any time. Because of this, it is very important that everyone be prepared. In the Caribbean, we realize that tsunamis do not recognize political boundaries, and because of that, the different countries in the region have been working together for over 10 years to establish a tsunami early warning system.
Tsunamis are a natural phenomena that occur in our oceans. Nobody can prevent them from happening. They can be generated by a number of mechanisms such as earthquakes, coastal and submarine landslides, or underwater and above water volcanic eruptions, even meteor impacts.
The biggest tsunamis are usually caused by the occurrence of an earthquake under the sea. The earthquake must have certain characteristics. It must have a component of vertical motion and so push a column of water so that the wave is generated. So you have your large earthquake and you have your wave, the water column moves, the wave splits in two, half goes towards the nearest shore and the other half goes out into the open ocean.
The majority of the tsunamis that affect the Caribbean are produced by local earthquakes and could reach the shores in a matter of minutes. Tsunamis travel at speeds of up to 500 miles per hour in the open ocean. In shallow waters, the wave height grows. The 2010 tsunami in Chile and the 2011 tsunami in Japan demonstrate how destructive and severe such locally generated events are and how far-reaching the consequences can be. If you feel strong shaking, or if you are near the coast and you see the water withdraw significantly, exposing reefs, rocks, and fish, or if you hear a strange roar from the ocean, it is important to evacuate the hazard zones and go to high ground immediately. The tsunami has arrived.
We want the public to understand in a very critical way the importance of being able to be responsive without any activation or notification. If you have an earthquake and the ground is shaking, then we know that we have to get away from the coast. And therefore, we always say, When the sea goes out, we go up.
We can also have what they call a tail tsunami, which is when an earthquake occurs out of the Caribbean area. It could occur as far away as Portugal or the Canary Islands, and then if a tsunami is generated, it will take, let's say, 4 or 5 hours, depending on the distance again. And so we have a little more time to warn people. But if it occurs closer to the islands, in some cases we will have less than half an hour to warn the people.
In case of a tsunami, you would not be able to feel the earthquake, but the authorities will give the population instructions on what to do and where to go. There would be plenty of time to respond. A tsunami can happen at any time, day or night, and is not just one wave. The first wave is not necessarily or usually the biggest wave. It can take just minutes or hours before the subsequent waves come on shore. The waters will not necessarily draw down before the coast is flooded by a tsunami. Instead, the effect will be similar to that of a very fast tide. Extremely strong currents can be generated in bays and harbors, putting life and property at great risk. The force of the water rushing down streets can be as great as winds of a hurricane category 5.
You're not being impacted by just water, which is bad enough. Water is 1 gallon of water weighs 10 pounds. So you're not just being impacted by water, you're impacted by water plus sediment. It's like being impacted by wet concrete. And therefore, this is not something that normal human beings, even abnormally strong, robust human beings, can withstand. So it is strongly advised that you seek to get out of the way of the tsunami wave.
A tsunami early warning system consists of 4 components: tsunami hazard, risk and vulnerability assessments, tsunami monitoring and detection, and warning guidance, warning, dissemination, and communications, and preparedness, readiness, and resilience. Although the Caribbean Tsunami Warning System was established in 2006, there are still gaps and the system needs to be strengthened. Each country in the Caribbean has been implementing steps and procedures to meet the necessary standards and has also been contributing to the system.